up yet. He now has to, as Hamilton slots back into the lead again.
Absolutely epic.
My first win here in Spain, it means everything to me.
And winning the British Grand Prix on 2 for Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton.
This is the story of how a legend slowly turned into a shadow of himself. A champion who once ruled Formula 1 with an iron fist, now struggling to keep up with drivers half his age. A man who broke barriers and rewrote history, now watching helplessly as his own legacy crumbles before his eyes. Lewis Hamilton not only lost his speed, he lost something deeper. Something that made him the fighter we all knew and loved. And the saddest part? He might never get it back. Welcome to our channel, where we tell the stories that hurt the most. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, because today we are diving deep into one of Formula 1's most painful falls from grace. This is about watching greatness fade away, one disappointing race at a time. So, buckle up, because this story doesn't have a happy ending. Before Lewis Hamilton became a king, he was just a dream in a working-class town. Born on January 7th, 1985, in Stevenage, Hertfordshire, Lewis grew up in a place where Formula 1 champions simply didn't exist. This was concrete tower blocks, council estates, and dreams that seemed too big for the surroundings. His father, Anthony Hamilton, worked as an IT contractor, but when Lewis showed interest in racing, Anthony made a life-changing decision. He took on 3 additional jobs, working nights as a dishwasher, weekends doing construction, anything to fund his son's impossible dream. The family sacrificed everything. Holidays, luxuries, even basic comforts were abandoned to keep Lewis racing. At age 8, Lewis received his first go-kart, bought second-hand for £1,000, nearly the family's entire monthly income. While other kids in his class were getting the latest toys for Christmas, Lewis was getting worn tires and spare parts.
The reason I want to be a Formula 1 driver is because it's got a lot of speed in it. When I went to Belgium and I saw the actual speed that they were doing, it was amazing because you don't actually think about it when you're watching TV.
But that beaten-up kart became his spaceship to another world. Lewis wasn't only talented, he was different. While other karting kids threw tantrums when they lost, Lewis studied what went wrong. While others celebrated small victories, Lewis was already planning his next move. At age 10, he won the British Cadet Karting Championship, beating kids with far better equipment and professional coaching. But the moment that changed everything happened at the 1995 Autosports Rewards. 10-year-old Lewis, wearing his best clothes that still looked shabby next to the wealthy racing families around him, approached McLaren boss Ron Dennis. By age 13, the impossible happened. McLaren called. Not in 9 years, but in 3. They signed Lewis to their young driver program, the youngest driver ever to receive such a deal from an F1 team. Suddenly, the boy from Stevenage had the backing of one of racing's most prestigious organizations. Lewis climbed the racing ladder like he was on fire. Formula Renault in 2002, 3rd place as a rookie. Formula 3 Euro Series in 2005, complete domination with 15 wins from 20 races. GP2 in 2006, champion in his first attempt, beating seasoned professionals who had been racing longer than Lewis had been alive. Each step revealed something extraordinary. Lewis won the races in ways that left people speechless. Overtakes that seemed impossible. Racecraft that belonged to someone with decades more experience. A mental strength that never cracked under pressure. The racing world began to whisper about the young British driver who was rewriting the rulebook for junior motorsport. Team principals started making calls. Rival teams tried to poach him. Everyone could see what was coming. Lewis Hamilton was heading straight for Formula 1, and he was going to make an impact. 2007 was supposed to be a learning year. Rookies were meant to crash, finish last, and gain experience for future seasons. Lewis Hamilton had different plans. Partnered with double world champion Fernando Alonso at McLaren, Lewis was supposed to play the role of grateful student. Instead, he finished 3rd in his very first Grand Prix in Australia, then 2nd in Malaysia, then another 2nd in Bahrain. By the Canadian Grand Prix, Lewis had done the impossible. He won his first Formula 1 race. A 22-year-old rookie had just beaten the best drivers in the world. The season became a fairy tale. Lewis led the championship for most of the year, trading blows with Alonso and Kimi Räikkönen. The racing world watched in amazement as this kid from nowhere challenged the established order. Even when he lost the championship by 1 point in the final race, everyone knew they had witnessed something special. Lewis Hamilton had announced himself as the future of the sport. 2008 was the year of redemption. Lewis came back hungrier, smarter, and more determined. The season was a roller coaster of emotions. Brilliant wins in Monaco and Silverstone, followed by costly mistakes that nearly threw away another championship. The final race in Brazil was pure drama. Felipe Massa won from pole, and for 38 unforgettable seconds, Brazil believed they had a world champion. But on the final corner of the final lap, Lewis Hamilton passed Timo Glock, who was struggling on dry tires in the wet, to snatch 5th place. It was just enough. By a single point, Hamilton claimed the championship. At 23 years old, Lewis Hamilton became the youngest world champion in history and the first black driver to win an F1 title.
Third, and is that Glock? Is that Glock going slowly?
It is,
That's
it's Glock. Oh my goodness me, Hamilton's back in position again. 100,000 local hearts sink in the grandstands.
The boy from Stevenage had conquered the racing world. Anthony Hamilton, the man who worked 4 jobs to fund his son's dream, broke down in tears as Lewis crossed the line. The impossible had become reality. But that was just the beginning. Lewis Hamilton was about to embark on a journey that would transform him from champion to legend, from fast driver to global icon. The move to Mercedes in 2013 seemed crazy at the time. Why leave McLaren, the team that raced you, for a struggling Mercedes outfit that had won just 1 race in 3 years? But Lewis saw what others couldn't. He saw the future. When the turbo hybrid era began in 2014, Mercedes was ready. They had built a rocket ship disguised as a racing car. Lewis dominated like no one had ever dominated before. 6 championships in 8 years. 84 race wins with Mercedes. Records falling like dominoes. Imagine that it's 2020 and Hamilton is at the peak of his powers. He just equaled Michael Schumacher's 7 world championships. He's broken the all-time wins record. He's standing on top of the world, fist raised high, believing he could go on forever. The boy from Stevenage had conquered everything. He'd beaten discrimination, poverty, and every rival put in front of him. He turned Mercedes into an unstoppable machine, winning 8 constructors' titles in a row. He was Formula One's king, and everyone knew it. But even kings fall, and when they do, the crash is devastating. If you want to pinpoint the exact moment Lewis Hamilton's decline began, look no further than Abu Dhabi 2021. The race that broke him. The race that changed everything. For 57 laps, Hamilton drove the perfect race. He controlled the pace, managed his tires, and held off every attack from Max Verstappen. The 8th World Championship was literally within his grasp. 1 more lap, and history would be his.
The safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. We're going to have 1 lap of racing to decide the championship. Hamilton has the advantage. Verstappen has the faster, fresher tyres, and we have got 3.2 miles of racing action.
Then came the safety car. Then came Michael Masi's controversial decision. Then came heartbreak. Verstappen passed him on the final lap.
Down the back straight, he's got a slipstream. He almost touches Verstappen. They almost make contact into turn 9. Verstappen stays ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Of all the drama, of all the controversy, of all the magic moments.
The dream died. The record slipped away, and something inside Lewis Hamilton broke that day. Something that may never be fixed. He didn't speak to the media for weeks. He went silent on social media. Rumors swirled that he might retire. The man who had never backed down from a fight suddenly looked defeated, broken, lost. When he finally returned for 2022, he wasn't the same driver. The hunger was gone. The killer instinct had vanished. Abu Dhabi had stolen more than just a championship, it had stolen his soul. 2022 was supposed to be Hamilton's redemption story, the year he bounced back stronger than ever. Instead, it became his worst nightmare. Mercedes, the team that had dominated for 8 years, suddenly couldn't build a fast car. The W13 was a disaster. It porpoised down the straights like a bucking horse. It was slow, unpredictable, and painful to drive.
And that is your full lineup for this morning, as they just see the floor there sparking, but not from the point of the floor that we normally see.
For the first time in his career, Hamilton went an entire season without winning a single race. Not one. The man who had won at least one race every year since 2007 suddenly couldn't even get close to victory. But the worst part wasn't the results. It was watching him climb out of the car in Azerbaijan. His back so damaged by the porpoising that he could barely stand. This was Lewis Hamilton, the athlete who had maintained peak physical condition for over a decade, reduced to a broken man struggling to walk.
Well driven.
Well done, guys. Great job with the strategy.
His teammate George Russell, young and hungry, began outperforming him regularly. The student was beating the master. The apprentice was showing the legend. It was painful to watch. Hamilton's pride took hit after hit. Race after race, he was stuck in midfield battles, fighting for scraps while Verstappen dominated up front. The cameras would catch him sitting in his car after qualifying, helmet off, staring into space with the look of a man who couldn't understand what had gone wrong.
On through the rest of it, no DRS available for 2 laps after a safety car, so it was a straight fight.
2023 brought hope. Mercedes had fixed the porpoising. The car was faster. Surely this would be Hamilton's comeback year. It wasn't. While Russell grabbed a victory in Brazil, Hamilton remained winless. Again, 2 years in a row without a single win. The stat that hurt the most: Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion, hadn't won a race in over 900 days. The decline was becoming undeniable. His qualifying performances dropped off a cliff. His race pace, once legendary, was now ordinary at best. Younger drivers were making moves that Hamilton in his prime would have shut down instantly, but Hamilton refused to admit defeat. He kept working, kept pushing, kept believing that the old magic would return. The determination was admirable, but watching it was heartbreaking. Like watching an aging boxer who doesn't know when to hang up the gloves.
Nothing can take me down, so I'm still here, I'm still fighting.
By late 2023, whispers began circulating through the paddock. Hamilton was considering his options. Mercedes wasn't delivering the car he needed. Time was running out.
Okay, we've had 2 difficult years, but I still have so much belief that Mercedes and all these people within this team have the ability to build a great car.
Then came the bombshell announcement that shocked the F1 world. Lewis Hamilton was leaving Mercedes for Ferrari.
The board of Lewis at Ferrari, and I read overall, he wouldn't suit him.
The decision sent shockwaves through the sport. After 12 years with the team that made him a legend, Hamilton was walking away. Many saw it as a desperate move, a 39-year-old driver chasing one last dream at a team notorious for crushing driver spirits. The reaction was mixed. Some called it brilliant, others called it foolish, but everyone agreed on one thing: it was the move of a desperate man. A champion who could feel his powers slipping away and was willing to risk everything for one final shot at glory. Hamilton's first year at Ferrari was supposed to be magical. The boy from Stevenage finally wearing the famous red overalls, the ultimate challenge for the ultimate driver, the storybook ending everyone wanted to see.
Woo-wee! This thing is quick. It's so fast. This is the fastest road car I've ever been in.
Instead, it became another chapter in his decline. The 2025 season started poorly and got worse. Hamilton's struggles at Ferrari are going to be painful and will last the rest of 2025 after a horrible Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, where he started and finished a lonely 7th. His teammate Charles Leclerc was constantly outperforming him, making Hamilton look slow and outdated. After 13 races, Hamilton had no wins and sat 6th in the championship with just 109 points. The numbers were damning. The man who once averaged over 250 points per season was now struggling to break triple digits.
podium finish of the season, but it's Piastri who improves from the front row to the win.
But the statistics only told part of the story. Watching Hamilton on track was even more painful. Gone were the aggressive overtakes and brilliant racecraft. In their place was hesitation, uncertainty, and the unmistakable signs of a driver past his prime. At 40 years old, Hamilton struggled during the opening half of the season, failing to reach the podium in 10 Grand Prix and generally lacking pace compared to his teammate Charles Leclerc. The comparisons to Leclerc, 13 years younger and at the peak of his powers, were brutal and unavoidable. What made Hamilton's decline so hard to watch was the gradual realization that Father Time had finally caught up with the great champion. His reaction times, once lightning fast, had slowed just enough to make the difference. His ability to extract speed from difficult cars, his greatest strength, was no longer there. Mercedes later revealed that Hamilton faced specific driving issues in qualifying during his final 2024 season, consistently trailing behind teammate George Russell. The media began asking uncomfortable questions. Was he too old? Has he lost his hunger? Should he retire? Each question was like a knife to the heart of a man who had spent his entire life proving doubters wrong. But perhaps the most painful moment came during a post-interview when Hamilton was asked about his future. For the first time in his career, the man who had always radiated confidence looked uncertain.
So what happened in quali?
I'm just useless.
So say again?
I'm just useless.
But that isn't obviously the case.
It clearly is.
What?
Just drove terribly.
The vulnerability in his voice was heartbreaking. Hamilton's struggles were personal. For years he had been more than a racing driver. He was an activist, a fashion icon, a global superstar. His identity was built on being the best at everything he touched. Suddenly, he wasn't the best anymore. He wasn't even close.
Oh, it's me every time.
So you're qualifying. I know you've been upset by it before, frustrated by it before. Is that what it is?
It's what?
Is it you're qualifying, your Saturdays, or?
Yeah, I'm useless. Absolutely useless.
The man who had once commanded respect through pure dominance was now fighting for relevance. Young drivers like Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, and George Russell were the new stars of the sport. Hamilton, the legend, was becoming a supporting character in their story. Social media, once his playground, became a source of pain. Every poor result was met with harsh criticism from fans who remembered him at his peak. The same people who had celebrated his victories were now calling for his retirement. Hamilton tried to stay positive publicly. He spoke about learning, growing, and contributing to Ferrari's development. But behind the media-trained responses, you could see the hurt, the confusion. The saddest part of Hamilton's decline is how normal it is. Every great athlete faces this moment, the realization that their body and mind can no longer do what they once could effortlessly. Muhammad Ali had it when his reflexes slowed and his punches lost their power. Michael Jordan had it when his legs couldn't carry him through games anymore. Tiger Woods had it when his back gave out and his putting stroke abandoned him. Now it was Hamilton's turn. The man who had once made impossible overtakes look routine was now struggling to keep up with the pack. The driver who had once dominated in wet conditions was now cautious in the rain. The champion who had never shown weakness was now vulnerable, human, and heartbreakingly ordinary.
The launch off the line goes around the outside, he's hit his teammate. Lewis Hamilton turns into George Russell and the Mercedes collide at the first turn. 3 into 1 did not go.
Let's look at the cold, hard statistics that tell the story of Hamilton's fall. From 2014 to 2020, Hamilton won 6 championships and 60 races. From 2022 to 2025, he's won 2 races total. That's not a slump, that's a collapse. His average qualifying position dropped from 2.1 during his championship years to 5.8 in recent seasons. His points per race fell from 18.2 to 11.7. Every metric showed the same thing: Lewis Hamilton was no longer elite. But numbers can't capture the emotional toll. They can't show the frustration in his voice during team radio messages. They can't reveal the disappointment in his eyes after another disappointing qualifying session. They can't measure the weight of expectations crushing down on a man who was used to exceeding them all. Hamilton's move to Ferrari was his Hail Mary pass, his final attempt to recapture past glory. But Ferrari, for all their history and passion, couldn't turn back time. The team found themselves seeking answers after Hamilton showed a significant drop in performance during races, unable to maintain his early pace. Even when the car was competitive, Hamilton couldn't extract its full potential. The Italian media, known for their brutal honesty, began questioning the decision to sign an aging champion over younger talent. Ferrari fans, desperate for success, started looking toward the future rather than celebrating the new signing. Hamilton's Ferrari dream was supposed to be about redemption. Instead, it became about acceptance. Accepting that his best days were behind him, accepting that younger drivers were faster, accepting that legends eventually fade.
Part of a team and you're working towards that common goal, there's no feeling quite like it. But yeah, I mean, I needed to, it was obviously a difficult time for me, and it was a time where I really needed to take a step back.
As the 2025 season progressed, Hamilton's situation became clearer and sadder. This was the end of an era. The man who had once made the impossible look routine could no longer keep up with F1's new generation. The driver who had redefined what it meant to be a champion was now just another name in the midfield. Hamilton admitted he had massively underestimated how difficult his farewell would be, calling it a very emotional year. The pain in his voice was unmistakable. This wasn't how he had imagined it would end. What makes Hamilton's decline so tragic is how it threatens his incredible legacy. New fans who only see the struggling 40-year-old might not understand just how dominant he once was. They might not appreciate that this ordinary driver was once extraordinary, but those who witnessed Hamilton's prime will never forget. They remember the rookie who almost won his first championship. They remember the champion who broke Schumacher's records. They remember the activist who changed F1 forever.
You will never see a more dramatic conclusion to any motor race, let alone a Grand Prix, than that. And the result of it all is that Lewis Hamilton is the world champion.
Unbelievable.
Hamilton's decline doesn't erase his achievements, but it does remind us that nothing lasts forever. Not speed, not success, not even legends. Hamilton's downfall hurts because it forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about excellence, aging, and mortality. We watch our heroes not because we want to see them win, but because they represent what's possible when talent meets determination. Seeing Hamilton struggle reminds us that even the greatest among us are human, that time defeats everyone eventually, that all stories, no matter how incredible, have endings. But maybe that's what makes his career so special. Hamilton not only won races and championships, he showed us what greatness looks like. And even in decline, even in defeat, he continues to show us something important, that legends are made not just in victory, but how they handle defeat. Lewis Hamilton's sad downfall is about watching a legend become ordinary. It's about time winning the only race that matters, the race against mortality. The boy from Stevenage rose higher than anyone thought possible. He broke barriers, won championships, and changed the sport forever. His legacy is secure, even if his current form is not. But legacy doesn't make the decline any less painful to watch. And as Hamilton continues to struggle, as younger drivers continue to surpass him, as his dream of an 8th championship continues to fade, we are left with a simple, sad truth: even legends fall. The only question now is whether Hamilton will realize it's time to go, or whether we'll have to watch this painful decline continue. Either way, the golden age of Lewis Hamilton is over, and Formula 1 will never be quite the same. Now, if you want more stories about F1's rise and fall, about champions and heartbreak, about the moments that define careers and crush dreams, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell. Because in Formula 1, every story has an ending, and sadly, we've just witnessed one of the most painful endings of all.